Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today we are watching LittleWhiteMouse in the Nikolai I, the tier 4 Russian premium battleship. She is on the map Archipelago in a 3-point domination game mode. It's a tier 4 battle and there is no carrier, which is nice because the Nikolai doesn't really have anti-air and there are only 2 destroyers. Now, the Nikolai is a ship you don't see very often. She is rather rare because Wargaming decided not to sell her because she is too powerful. She was introduced a long time ago and sold for a brief period, and now she is just given away in contests, and you can get her from a super container if you're really lucky. Now, the Nikolai has a very good armored front and nice firepower. She also has downsides like the lack of anti-air defense, but yes, she is considered a bit overpowered. But you always have to remember, if you show your broadside, you will get punished. Doesn't matter that this ship is very strong. If you just sail broadside to other battleships, they can hurt you quite a lot. And I mean, if you think about it, if you are like in a tier 5 ship and you're fighting a tier 4 ship, you are obviously at an advantage, but that doesn't mean you automatically win the fight. So, yeah. Here in the beginning of this battle, we see the friendly team is trying to take point Alpha and Bravo, and there are some ships here who are a little bit undecided, I guess. They are moving towards the north. It's a low-tier battle, so you can't expect too much in terms of experience and tactics from the team. But the team is doing a very good job of capturing Alpha, and now they can probably focus here on the center. And it doesn't look like the enemies are interested in that yet. Oh wait, there is a cruiser coming, but it's a cruiser showing broadside and not moving very fast, so this could end up in disaster. And well, the cruiser got pretty lucky, I guess, but still a rather decent hit. Now Mouse is here turning towards the north. There is absolutely no reason to continue towards Point Alpha. This point is in friendly hands, and while there might be enemy ships coming, currently, the center is more interesting. Unfortunately, there are still ships here in the north which aren't all that helpful, but with the force they have assembled here, if these 2 battleships catch up, they could take the center. And even if they can't take the center right now, they at least can defend it against the enemies, probably. Now, as is obvious from the smoke, there are destroyers inside the Bravo cap, so that's something to watch out for. And there we can see a Clemson. Now in low tiers, the Japanese are the only ships, well, aside from the Campbell Town, I guess, with a decent torpedo range, so torpedoes are less of a concern, I guess, unless they are really close. But this Clemson is not dangerously close, and there will definitely be torpedoes in the water. But the Clemson is aiming for the friendly cruiser. Clemson is trying very hard to avoid shots, but wasn't entirely successful. So that's one destroyer dealt with. The other destroyer is still at Charlie, so that's good news. The problem is the enemies managed to actually take the center cap. Now there is a friendly force moving in, and it looks like the enemy ships in the north are still engaged with the friendly ships up there. Mouse caught a very nice citadel on the St. Louis, and well, somebody else finished her off. Now those 2 battleships, there are, I guess, a slight concern. They are close to the zone wall, they are hiding behind an island, so they aren't an immediate threat, but they will make the way around here and eventually flank the friendly team, so if there's an opportunity to take them out, it's probably good to seize it. If the friendly team can deal with those ships before the enemies arrive from the north, that would be great. Now when you're dealing with enemies like that, you wanna make sure that you don't push too hard away from the caps. But this is well, it's low tier, it's a very small map, it's actually hard to get too far away from the caps, but you certainly don't wanna go here behind those islands yourself. Looks like the enemy Wyoming is already retreating. It might take actually a ship going behind the island to flush out the Kawachi. Looks like he isn't willing to move out of there just yet. But there isn't really a push coming from Point Charlie yet, so as long as the enemies aren't really pushing into the center, the friendly team now has 2 capture points and they can play this a bit more passively, because time is on their side. Also they have less ships, so cleaning out those 2 ships is now a really good opportunity to, well, even the odds. And very nicely the Kawachi is dealt with, and none of the friendly ships had to move away too far from the cap zones. So now Mouse is turning around. It's about time for the friendly force, I guess, to assemble in the center and try to defend against whatever the enemies come up with. Now, of course, in this situation you have to be careful. You don't want to show your broadside towards Wyoming, now while you would want to go probably directly towards the center. Angling against the Wyoming is important as well. And yes, it looks like the friendly team has realized that there is a push coming from the north, but the enemies aren't pushing directly into the center. They are, I guess, going south, which is a good thing, because then the island will prevent him from actually like supporting ships that would go towards the center or attacking the center directly. And well, the Wyoming is still floating, but she is getting low. And the friendly team is currently in not the greatest spot. This Wyoming more or less managed to retreat. There is a friendly cruiser who is gone a little bit too far off. And there is only a meager force left to enter the center. So if the enemies push decisively, they should win this. The Wyoming is once more presenting a very nice broadside. Mouse gets some decent hits. No citadels, unfortunately. So the Wyoming continues to float. And Mouse is now going to intercept the large push here in the south. And yeah, I mean, hopefully the team can finish off the Wyoming. There is still a cruiser who trying to. And nicely done. Our Mouse can focus on the incoming enemy ships. And it looks like there is a British cruiser in the lead. You would like to have your battleships in the front, so as a cruiser you have to pace yourself a little bit. These battleships are actually coming your way this way. And also this cruiser is showing broadside, which, yeah, ended badly. And now Mouse is trying to angle towards this incoming force. Our ship is still pretty healthy, and as said before, it's very well armored in the front, so if she is angling correctly, she should be able to withstand a lot of punishment. And look at that, they are all showing broadside.
Крейсер врага потоплен.
While the Nikolai is a pretty strong ship, you shouldn't underestimate the Kaiser. And as said before, you don't want to show broadside. Mouse is slowing down here because she can't push between the enemy battleships. If she were pushed too far forward, she would get shot from the Wyoming and the Kaiser. And she would have trouble angling against both. Now this British cruiser is doing a great job of angling. Unfortunately for him, it's not enough. And now Mouse is turning away. She doesn't want to be caught between the two battleships. And there isn't much need to be aggressive. The friendly team has a nice lead. They have the majority of the capture points. Now the enemies have one ship more. There is that, but they don't have enough points, so the enemies have to be the aggressors. And it looks like the Wyoming in the north is going down. There is an Isokaze. The Isokaze has 7-kilometer torpedoes, and they hurt quite a bit, so it's definitely a threat. And that's one threat dealt with. The Mouse is focusing on the Wyoming in the north. It's the easiest target currently to take down, and well, a ship that is sunk can't fire anymore. By now the enemy team has a pretty good chance of winning this. I mean, the enemy still have 3 battleships alive, and they could turn the tide, but they would have to be a bit more aggressive and try to go for the capture zones, and the enemies aren't doing the greatest job of sticking together. Neither are the friendlies, I guess, but all the friendlies have to do is defend and endure. And Mouse will probably be successful in hunting down the enemy Wyoming. I mean, he is nicely showing his broadside. And also it looks like in the south the friendly team managed to take out one of the battleships. So once the Wyoming goes down, this game should be won. And this salvo will most likely finish it. There is the Kraken. Now there is a Wyoming left, a full health Wyoming, but he is not even pushing really into the cap zone. And the friendly team has so many points that pretty soon they will just have won. But you know, I mean, it's a low tier battle, you can't really expect people to be very experienced here. At any moment now the friendly team will reach 1,000 points and win this battle. It's unlikely that Mouse can still land a shot. Now let's take a look at the results. LittleWhiteMouse managed to get 1,526 base experience, and it was certainly well played by her. It was a bit of a seal clubbing, it was some nice matchmaking in a great ship. LittleWhiteMouse is obviously a good player, But I thought it was an interesting match to watch. She played it very well, and I mean, even if a Nikolai, if you aren't careful, you can get shot to pieces. Now, the enemy team had an advantage in the mid game, and they didn't push it. Instead of taking the center with their force, they just, well, took a scenic route, showed too much broadside, and this battle was turned around. LittleWhiteMouse managed to get herself Kraken, 2 devastating strikes, high caliber and Confederate. She scored 114,000 points of damage, which is pretty nice in a tier 3 battle. And yes, Nikolai is a ship that you don't see every day, so I hope you enjoyed watching that. And I'll see you guys next time.